We're excited to be here with you all today. Thank you for joining us at this busy time of year. So as Jason said, we're going to talk to you a little bit about a program that was developed at West Virginia University called My Hometown is Cool. As a brief overview, My Hometown is Cool is a statewide initiative aimed at engaging youth in asset-based community development and entrepreneurial thinking. So we're really looking at combining those two things, which we'll talk a little bit more about here today. But there's two major components to the program. The first is a series of 4 lessons that take 30 to 45 minutes each that are designed for 6th through 12th grade students. And the second is a statewide pitch competition where students can take the ideas that they developed in the lesson series and apply for a mini grant to turn them into reality in their hometown. And the My Hometown is Cool project is a cross collaboration among many different entities, both internal and external. So here at WVU Extension, it's a collaboration of both what we call the Family and Community Development Unit and our 4-H and Youth Development Unit. Additionally, we partnered with the WVU Chambers College of Business and Economics. Their Launch Lab and COVA Center and Dean's Office helped with the development of the program. The West Virginia Health Science Technology Academy, or HISTA, piloted the program statewide with their over about 600 students. The WVU Media Association partnered to create our different videos that are associated with the program. And then additionally, we have many other public and private sponsors who have either financially contributed to mini grants or otherwise supported the implementation of the community-based mini grants led by youth. I'll turn it over to Dana.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. So what the first lesson that we introduced the youth to is we have this discussion about what actually makes your hometown cool. And so we thought that it would be a great idea for you all to kind of interact with us a little bit today and share with us some ideas about what makes your hometown cool. This is based on this idea and this premise that oftentimes by living in a community, we often miss or forget about what are some of those assets that we have in our community. And so this activity is designed to really get us thinking about what are those things that make our hometowns unique? What are the things that if a visitor is coming in, we want to share with them and the places that we're going to tell them to go? And so thinking along those lines, we would like for you to just take a few moments and think about and pop into the chat, thinking about your own individual community. What are some of the events or some of the assets or the landscapes or the things that make your hometown cool or different than any other hometown? So we'll give you a few moments just to do that. And when you get ready, you can just pop those into the chat. Okay, so I see that the comments are coming in. I'm hearing about the landscape as far as the mountains. There's lots of great places to eat, just being able to go to the botanical gardens, the performing arts centers, and then also some of the music. And those are the things that make our hometowns unique from others. So I see Melissa says that people here in her community love and hate the very same things about their communities. And it's a tiny and close-knit community. Festivals? Excellent. Okay, so Stacy says that their neighbors are one of their greatest resources. And these are all great and excellent points, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we can build on these in the lesson series, how we use each of these assets. I see lots of lakes and parks. Okay, so just to share with you guys what we have here is that, so when we think about West Virginia, here are some things that makes West Virginia cool in itself. We have a national park. We have the New River Gorge. We also have a lot of Mon Forest towns or Elkins, which is we have a lot of skiing in West Virginia actually as well. And we also have, if anyone's been to West Virginia or heard about us, we have the famous pizza rolls or pepperoni rolls. And those were actually created and invented because there were lots of coal mines in West Virginia, and miners had to have something to carry in their lunch that would not spoil or ruin. And so that's how the famous pepperoni roll was born. And then also we have cool things like Mothman. And then we also have a Hillbilly Hot Dogs, which is a famous eatery. And so these are some of the things that make our state specifically very cool and unique from some other states. There are some similarities, but there are also some differences. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so there we go. Thank you, Lauren. So when we do this with youth, these are some of the things that kids identified, specifically kids from my county. I'm in the southwestern region of the state in Logan County. And some of the things that our youth identified as assets in my community were that we have the famous Hatfield-McCoy trails. And so we also have a lot of festivals. One of the most notable festivals that we have here in Logan is the Freedom Festival. So every 4th of July is this huge festival where the downtown area is filled with vendors, street vendors. There's live music and lots of vendors you can sell, but there's also really good eateries, and it's a really great event where the community comes out together to celebrate the holiday. Also, we have in the park, we have Christmas in the Park, and I will dare to say that Logan County's Christmas in the Park is rival to the Christmas in the Park at Oglebay, which is in the northern part of the state. And then also we have our local women's club. Every year at this time, if you were to be here in Logan County, you would see that their house is filled with carved pumpkins around it. And then the week of Halloween, which is next week, they will actually light those pumpkins and have it free to the public and the community to come by and see all of the great artwork and the creativity that the kids and other organizations have actually done to make this a festive event for the October and Halloween season. And then also there are some things that kids identified were assets that, maybe they were things that someone else might not have identified as an asset. It's just this sense of culture about in the mornings on the way to school, stopping by at a particular restaurant and Morrison's or somewhere and grabbing breakfast on the way to school or on Saturday mornings. And so those are assets as well. And so as you can see, we have this, the way that this particular activity works is, if you notice, most of these pictures are in a circular shape. So what we did was we took this idea of heritage and, pride that it also is evident in a state seal, and decided to bring it down to the local level and allow kids an opportunity to create a seal that represented the pride and heritage in their communities on paper. And so these are some of the examples of the creativity that the students actually came up with. Okay. I think that we now turn it over to Mike.
Yes. Okay. You heard Dana talk about looking at assets, and that's different than the traditional focus of a lot of these type of efforts, because people like to do needs assessment, see what you don't have. And if you're in West Virginia, or a lot of rural communities, often you start and look at your needs, and the numbers aren't good. You can see, on there, West Virginia has, poor rankings in a lot of categories when you rank the states. Often we're the bottom 5, occasionally the worst or almost the worst. And which means you start feeling very badly about yourself. You go in a community and you start saying, oh, what are your needs? And that immediately puts people on the defensive, immediately makes people think that the problem is overwhelming. It's never going to be solved. They just ought to pack up and leave, or just give up and do whatever. And when we start with these negative statistics, and we go research, we come up with these best practices, which are important to try to figure out how to mitigate, ameliorate, fix, so to speak, the circumstances. But they also don't set a good tone. And so with this project, we want to look at different ways because of doing things. When you're trying to just solve problems, you end up, I'm going to do this. I'll do A to fix problem one and B to fix problem two. You start fragmenting your service delivery. You start looking at people as service providers and clients rather than residents who are invested in their community. You start forgetting about all the assets that each place has. We just heard Dana talking about what Logan County has, and before that saw the slide of all the different unique things that West Virginia has. And when you see statistics like this, you forget about the New River Gorge and Green Bank and Montforest Towns and Mothman and Pepperoni Rolls and all these other wonderful characteristics of the Mountain State, the beauty, the nature. Instead, we just focus, we're next to last, and we're low in poverty and household income and per capita income, and we don't have a lot of entrepreneurs. We just start feeling badly about ourselves. And the result is that you feel like, we're just kind of walled off, and everybody on the other side of that's successful, but we're not. And so that's not a good way to go through life. That's not a good way to do community development. Instead, everybody has something, and everybody can build on something. And in this particular effort, we're working with the youth to figure out what they see and they want to work with. And so it's capacity focused, it's asset focused, it's an alternative path. And it's looking and seeing what you have and how we can build upon it. Be it microbrews, be it music, be it unique agriculture. That's a high tunnel that couple is in with the baby. Be it our parks, our outdoor recreation, our youth programming. There's a lot of different things that the state has, and communities have different pieces of this. And when you start focusing on the positive, you get people involved, and you also engage youth. They're much more, they're not as jaded as adults sometimes are. They actually still like where they live in many cases, but they want to make it better. And they know that you build on what you have to make things better instinctively. Whereas, we come from the university, we're here to do a needs assessment because we're here to help you. That's not the approach that the youth would take, and that's not the approach we take with this program. Basically, what you do, you come in from the outside and post things, when you do top down, they're not going to be most effective. What you want to do is work with what you have, work bottom up. That external funding is not there like it was a generation or two ago to do these things. You have to use your own resources. And we've found, in our work, and research also backs this up, that when people are committed to doing things, they're going to be more successful. So you get people to buy in to building upon what they have and how to move their community forward using existing assets, using that as a foundation to take their community where they want it to go. And it's creating a positive mindset. It's creating a mindset for moving forward. Sometimes you may think growth, but that may also just be maintenance. It may be built, improvement. And it also allows for a community to make realistic goals that it wants and it sees that it can achieve and it will work to achieve, rather than having some external entity imposing upon the community what it thinks it should do. In other words, the community looks at what it has and uses those to move in its desired direction. And for the youth, this is instinctive, and they see the good. And we build upon that in this program and get them to operate more entrepreneurially. I think I said that correctly. And finding out what is cool and what really makes them want to be there and what to make other people want to be there. And at this point, I think it goes now to back to Lauren.
All right. Thanks, Mike. So a little bit on the connection between community development and entrepreneurial thinking. There's a lot of value to connecting entrepreneurial thinking to how we approach community development. We know that two of the basic principles of entrepreneurship are start where you are with what you have and take the first step. So as Mike is discussing, when we approach from a needs-driven approach to community development, it can result in us not knowing where to start, right? Because there's such an overwhelming need. So by shifting to that asset-based community approach, by engaging some entrepreneurial thinking skills, we encourage youth to start where they are with what they have and identify the first small step that they can take. So to reinforce that, we do a few different activities with students or in professional development that connect community development and entrepreneurial thinking. So one metaphor or way to think about how an entrepreneurial approach is beneficial. A traditional approach to community development can be considered like a puzzle. So if you have a puzzle and you know what the end, you identify that you need to, what the picture at the end needs to look like, you go about collecting all of the pieces. The example here in practice is a community center, for example. In rural communities in West Virginia, often that's something that's identified as a need, a community center to increase activities for youth. So if we define what we need, we map out what the community center looks like, what it costs, what resources are needed, where it will be located. Then we go about building those pieces by pulling those puzzle pieces into place. The problem with that is that we don't start providing services to youth until every puzzle piece is in place. So through that needs-driven approach, if we either A, do not have the resources to meet the need, or B, we get them over a very long time period, all the while we're not moving towards we're not starting our goal of providing those services to youth. So on the other hand, by using entrepreneurial thinking, that can be thought of more like a collaborative quilt where everybody's bringing their pieces and what they have to the table, and then we're fitting them together in a way that's beautiful and that works well for everybody. So through an entrepreneurial thinking approach, you would define the goal, in this example, increasing activities for youth, what assets you had in place right now, and what immediate step you could take to start increasing the services to youth. And so one example of this in Fairmont, West Virginia, a group got together and started along this process and started in one small room in a church and then continued to pull in additional resources, people, and just expanded until they were able to get a building donated in a church with a top floor for the team room and provide just awesome services to a whole group of youth, but started very small and just kept iteratively developing and taking advantage of opportunities as they came along. Dana?
Yes. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the lessons themselves. Okay. So each lesson is about 45 minutes each. And the first one is my town is cool, and so is yours. And as you've seen earlier, we actually did some pieces to that lesson when I asked you to tell me what are some things that are cool about your town specifically versus, mine or someone else's in this session. Okay. And so you all did a very excellent job at that. And so what we do is, as you saw, we have the kids define what those assets within their community are, to kind of get them thinking about what is it that we have here that is that we're well known for, or that is really cool. And then what they do is they create the seal that I was talking to you guys about earlier and showed you earlier. Then in the second lesson, we have them look at the community capitals framework. Okay, so that is identifying what is the human capital that's there, what are the assets. what is, the infrastructure? What are the things that are already in place in that community that actually can help, that's making it a positive place or helping it to work well? And, what are those things? And so it's an inventory, right? Because as Mike said earlier, it's a lot easier to look at your hometown or any situation. It's a lot easier to find the things that are wrong with the situation. But as Lauren said, this is about finding what is working there, what is good. And then in lesson 3, after they've identified those assets, what they do is they go on to create this business model, or, finding out what bugs them, but they're building on what they've already identified as an asset, and they are working to start there and to make it cooler. This one is what is one small project or one small thing that we can focus on and we can make our hometown better. And so this is where kids really begin to develop their idea for the pitch competition, which we will talk about here shortly. This is where they really come together, and the ideas that come out of this are very creative. Sometimes historically, when we've done this, what we find is that students actually, sometimes when you first present the idea to them about, this, sometimes it can get overwhelming, but the way that the lessons are set up to help them and walk them through identifying the assets, identifying the capitals, and then building on what's already there. Some of the ideas that the kids have come up with in the past are very simple, but they're very impactful because they are what the community needs to be made better, or to take it to the next level or to the next step. And so that's what they do in lesson 3, making their hometowns cooler. Now, lesson 4 is about sharing their ideas. So in this lesson, we actually help the students. It will actually help students to put that final piece together and to present their idea or their pitch in a way that really gets the adults thinking about how the greater impact of this idea that they've come up with, what it can really become, and how it can impact the community as a whole. And so, we give them some public presentation points in this lesson, and we walk them through and teach them how to develop what we call an elevator pitch. So students typically can give a 5-minute presentation about their idea and their product, and in a way that conveys the value of the new product that they've created. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the statewide pitch competition, there are teams of 2 or more youth, and they are between the ages of 9 and 18, and they are invited to submit a 3-minute video pitch. Okay, and so it's focused on 2 premises. What makes your hometown cool in the first place? Again, identifying those assets. And then lastly, it is telling us, even though your hometown is cool, what is one small or simple project that can, if you had one more thing, what would make it cooler than it already is? And I will tell you, the creativity that comes out of this project and the confidence that the students gain from just creating that 3-minute pitch and going through this process of creating something that is valuable for their hometown, that's going to, make a difference much further or beyond, the 4 lessons, those 4 class sessions of 45 minutes. It is amazing. And we'll show you guys some videos here in just a moment shortly. Okay, so the winning teams that are selected get up to $2,500 in mini grants to turn their actual idea into a reality. Okay, now the thing is that the project has to be youth-led, and it cannot be adult-led, because as we know, we were talking about, as colleagues, sometimes we talk about this, and Mike mentioned about rural communities specifically. So we in West Virginia are experiencing, as many of you are probably too as well, this out-migration of youth. You know, they grow up in our communities, but once they graduate college or, you know, get a job or whatever, they leave the community because, you know, for other opportunities. And so by allowing them to create something at this young age, within the ages of 9 to 18, that, you know, they've created just for their community, gives them this sense of like they're really making a difference in their community. And so then they can often find ways, it will tie them back to the community, and they try their best to find ways to continue to stay here and be community driven and continue to make those positive differences. And that's what we want. We want kids, we want the youth to be really inspired by this project. Okay, so here's a video. Thank you, Lauren.
Nestled in the mountains of the Greenbrier Valley lies Lewisburg, West Virginia. With an abundance of culture, music, history, food, and adventure, Lewisburg seems to have it all.
So, if Lewisburg is so cool, what is it missing? One thing Lewisburg lacks is recreation. Hollow Park is one of the public parks in the area that has become outdated and is in need of repairs.
Suzanne Bixler, Zach Ellis, and Ryan Vaughn are entering the My Hometown is Cool contest, committed to improving recreation in the area, starting with Hollowell.
Hollowell is a central location for recreation that could use many updates to help the overall well-being of residents in the area.
Our team put out a survey asking residents of Lewisburg and surrounding areas questions about recreation. When asked if Lewisburg and the surrounding areas had enough recreational activities for teenagers and young adults, 87% responded no, and 13% responded yes.
Our survey also showed that with improvements, attendance to Hollowell would increase drastically.
Shown here is a model of our hopeful renovations. These renovations include 4 permanent pickleball courts, an informational kiosk, and seating throughout the area.
We could walk you through our incredibly boring budget step by step, but we only have 3 minutes, so we just put some fun music over it.
Our team has been working closely with the City of Lewisburg to help make our idea come to life. Our project will be one of the renovations to improve Hollowell Park. So, that's it.
Yep, that's it.
That's our pitch. Lewisburg is already a really cool place.
But with your help,
We can make Lewisburg even cooler.
And we're going to show you one more just to give you an idea of some of the projects they came up with.
Hi everybody, welcome to McDowell County, West Virginia. We're currently standing in front of the county courthouse and we're going to tell you why Welch is cool.
Wait, back up a second. Isn't McDowell County known as the Free State? Is there a reason?
Come on now, you know we don't love the rules. This nickname comes from the fact that we like to live to our own standards.
Anyways, you may be asking why we are starting our tour on the courthouse stairs. We are here to highlight a piece of history. Here on August 1st, 1921, Sid Hatfield was shot by Baldwin Felts agents for his involvement in the mine wars.
Speaking of mining, did you know that McDowell County is known for being the place that built the Eastern Seaboard? Coal from these mountains have traveled all across the world providing energy to make steel, which is then turned into buildings, roads, and bridges. Welch is home to several murals by local artist Tom Acosta. The whole county as a whole is full of talented artists, craftspeople, flatfoot dancers, and bluegrass musicians. Many of these musicians gather regularly at the Sterling Drive-In for open mic night performances. Sounds like you should take some lessons there.
Tug Fork River runs right by downtown Welch and can be enjoyed while picnicking in Martha Moore Park or at the amphitheater or in a flatwater kayak. Fly fishing here is some of the best in the country, and the community regularly hosts fishing tournaments.
I think I caught a big one. This place even better.
Let's grab some coffee and talk about it.
Are there any coffee shops around here?
Only fast food restaurants.
Well, that's no fun. It's a world problem.
I know people who work around here, they need their coffee. And ATV riders, after they get off the trails, they probably want some coffee too. You know what? Let's make our own coffee shop.
Our coffee shop needs to have a creative name. Ain't there a show based on the 90s our parents watched?
Oh my God, we should name our coffee shop the County Perk.
Sounds like a great solution. How about we set up a few times a week and test out our hot chocolate and baked goods?
Oh my gosh, we could name our drinks after the McDowell County folklore and history. For an example, a cup of black coffee could be called a coal digger. And hot chocolate could be named mudslingers after the ATV riders.
We set up near the trailheads every weekend. They could get their cup of coffee or hot chocolate before they get on the trails.
That would be good. And as our business grows, we could look for a vacant building in Welch to renovate and open a more permanent location. We could use it to support our artist friends and other makers in the community.
Okay, so that was two videos from two of our entries who were selected in the past. So a couple things to keep in mind is one, that you notice there that the videos were of different quality. That's going to be normal based on experience from the students as well as their ages. We have some, like, because it's between the ages of 9 to 18, some of the youth who participate are pretty young, and so they may not be as experienced as some of the youth who are 17 or 18. But that's not our main focus when we are judging the videos and the entries. We are looking at the ideas, the development of the ideas and how well they are formed, and sustainability, that sort of thing is what we're focused on, not necessarily the quality of video. Just because, some kids who actually participate may not have, they may record it on their iPhone and not have the actual, high-tech video equipment. So I think that is a very important piece to remind you all of, is that we're looking at the ideas themselves and not necessarily the quality of the video itself. Okay. And so, as you see, I think that those two videos showed you even the scope of the ideas. I do know that the group from McDowell County that thought that a coffee shop would be really good. They were selected 1 year, and so they've actually won. We've had a group of younger ladies who, I think they were, at the time, they were probably 11 and 12. Their idea was to create signage to drive customers into their town from the interstate. That was selected as well. So it's so broad what these kids can come up with. That is purely genius to actually help make their communities cooler or better. And so that's what we want to really encourage them to do. We want, it's the entrepreneurial thinking, as well as finding ways to make those lasting improvements in their community. Okay.
All right. So to share a little bit about where we are here today, we're actually up to over 800 students. I should have updated that bullet. I apologize. Having completed the 4-lesson series here in West Virginia. And we're just working through data with our pilot with the HISTA program, and have seen that there is a statistically significant increase in participatory citizenship, as measured by pre-post evaluations for students. We have given out 11 mini grants, all sponsored by private donors, which have resulted in over 350 volunteer hours, over $72,000 in in-kind contributions, and 6,570 individuals served by the various projects. The nice thing about the mini grants as well, to kind of piggyback on what Dana was saying, is that we have had limited funding. So we get, so many great applications in from students, and some of the really, also wonderful ideas aren't funded because we only have so much funding to give out in each cycle. And we've seen also where cities, counties, and other donors have picked up those projects and then funded them for students, even if we weren't able to fund them through the statewide pitch competition. So there's several more than that as well that move forward. And additionally, as you can see, those that were funded often then leveraged additional funds from cities, counties, and local donors as well. So as an upcoming opportunity, we currently have an expansion grant through the NTAE expansion program. And we have been lucky to work with our coaches, one of which is here, Scott, thank you, and others from NTAE on putting together a national pilot for the My Hometown is Cool project. So we've had a few different states pilot it in different settings when we shared it after different conference presentations. And now what we're moving forward to do in the spring of 2024, we'll be putting out a request for individuals to sign up to pilot the program by delivering the 4-lesson series and implementing 1 mini grant over the 24-25 school year. And we'd like to reach at least one state in each of the extension regions so that we can see how the program operates in different settings across the United States. And then of course, all use the same evaluation tool and then utilize that pilot and that group to help provide any feedback so that we can make adjustments and finalize the program model to be applicable to a larger group, as it was developed in West Virginia and has been delivered most significantly in West Virginia. So if you're interested in that, we hope you will consider kind of signing on and joining the team for this project and helping to, in the next phase of its growth and development, to continue to be a tool that can engage that youth audiences in our community development and entrepreneurial efforts. So if you think right now that you might be interested, please do drop your name and email in the chat, and we'll keep a list of that so that when we roll out our RFP in the spring, we can make sure that it comes to you specifically. And then also here, just sharing our contact information. We have a large team of, I want to say it's 11 or 12 people on our NTAE grant from all of those different stakeholders listed on early in the presentation. And I'm sharing here with you the contact information for myself, Mike, and Dana. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or for any follow-up as you consider if this program would be appropriate in your setting. So with that, does anyone here, is it okay, Jason, if I don't know if that's your part I'm jumping into, to ask anyone if they have questions?
Go for it. It's all yours.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments, anything that caught your eye you wanted to address?
Hi, my name is Melissa Cook in Wyoming, and this is a great program. I love it. So I'm just wondering, did the kids do 100% of the work, or were the leaders or parents able to help at all?
So the way that we have it structured now is that the youth team has to have an adult coach. But that coach can be a parent, a teacher, an extension agent, a city government official. So it can be any adult who's agreeing to be the point of contact for that team. So we expect that the adult will play a more significant role in helping them, for example, to complete the mini grant contract, work through the details of the budget, help get the funding in, those kind of technical aspects that the students will learn from the adult on how to process those pieces. And then really the implementation of the programs becomes a youth adult partnership, but we do really reinforce that we want it to be youth led. So by doing that, we really look for projects that were, the idea came from youth, and the youth will be involved in its implementation as well, as opposed to projects that were already happening and then a mini grant is applied for to support it. So we're looking for that youth leadership, but certainly every successful project has partnerships with youth and adults both. Does that answer your question, Melissa?
Yes, thank you.
Lauren, in the chat, there's a question from Dejet McCracken. And the question is, over what period of time is the program administered? It's like there's 4 lessons of 45 minutes, but is there a timeline associated with that? So you want to explain how we did it in West Virginia?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So typically, we don't define a timeline that it has to happen in. Most groups do it once a week. That's the most common frequency. Sometimes people have had 2-week gaps, or lessons a little closer together, depending on holidays or other things that interfere with the schedule. But we typically have a due date at the end of the fall semester, at the end of the spring semester. So most people will do those lessons over a period of 4 to 6 weeks. And then if they want to do a video, leaving time for them to create that video, as that would take several more weeks for the students to conceptualize and create that as well. So I would say the ideal timeline, Digit, is once a week, but we're also open, flexible. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, we're really excited. This program is a lot of fun. So we love doing it here in West Virginia. We're excited about the next steps and to see more how it kind of plays out in different areas. So we'd love for you all to consider kind of being part of the next steps in the pilot. And if after the presentation you think of questions, please do feel free to contact us. We'd love to work with you moving forward. And I'll turn it over to Jason.
All right. Thank you very much, Lauren. And thank you to you and Dana and Michael for the great presentation. So we will be including the contact information for the presenters in the follow-up email that will come out. Today is Monday, probably Wednesday morning. So if in the meantime you decide, well, I probably should have put my name in to be part of this program, fear not, because you can just reach out to the presenters directly and let them know. So just a couple of housekeeping items here. I had already placed it into chat, but My Hometown is Cool is one of a little over 70 teams which have participated in the New Technology for Ag Extension program. So you can check out the work that a lot of what you just heard today, but the other teams and the work that they've been doing across the country in the yearbook, which was just released last week. And so with that, I'm going to share my screen real fast and go through a couple of other items. So I've been putting it in chat, but if you haven't, we really would appreciate it if you would take a moment to fill out the 1-minute feedback form. It's 4 questions that will help the presenters know how they did, as well as an opportunity for you to tell us what you would like to see in upcoming sessions like this. We are in the process of putting together our 2024 schedule. So if you have ideas of cool programs that you think might fit into this track, please feel free to reach out, as well as other opportunities that or other things that you might like to see covered in a professional development opportunity. So with that, we do have, if you're new to this, we do have several other professional development opportunities out there, and I feel free to register for those. Extension Skills has 2 more sessions, one in November and one in December. Program Center Stage, which I will come back to in a second, has 1 more left in October, and Dynamic Discussions, the last one for 2023, is this week somehow. So again, feel free to register or keep your eyes on these 3 websites and this link here to see what's coming in 2024, and feel free to register for any and all sessions that you would like. And so with that, join us in November for another NTAE team from Oregon State. They will be sharing the opportunities, challenges, and successes that they've had in developing and offering fire education, prescribed fire education to landowners, to fire practitioners, agency partners, and students through this program. So a very similar type of NTAE project where you'll get to hear some of the ins and outs of developing and delivering a statewide program. And so please feel free to join us on the 27th for that session. And with that, maybe I want to say again, thank you to Lauren and Dana and Michael for the presentation. We'll give you all an extra minute or two to fill out the 1 minute question or 1 minute feedback form with 4 questions and to ask any last minute questions for our presenters today.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Melissa.
So this was a great presentation, and I know we have a few other new extension are new, but there are some other new ones in our state that this would be great for them to watch. So I know you said something about this coming available, the slides. Did you record this that would be available for them to watch?
Yes. Yep. A link with the recording or link to the recording will be included in the follow-up email as well as the slides.
Okay. And I can forward that to them then?
Yes.
It's not part of the PAT group or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You can, the slide for the slides for this session can be shared freely. Yes.
Okay. Thank
or
you.
The recording. Sorry, not slides, recording.
Okay. Great job, everybody.
All right. Any other questions?
Just thank you, Jason, for hosting. And thank you, everyone,
Absolutely.
for coming and participating today.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Have a good afternoon, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you at a future professional development series seminar. Thanks.
Thank you.